Hey everyone, in this video we're going to continue making a computer terminal for Dr. Mindbender. And if you missed my first video, I would recommend that you go back and watch part 1 in order to see the progress that we've made up to this point. And in this video, what we want to do is add some detail to these tables that we have, and then also add a little bit of detail to this cylinder as well. So this will be a shorter video than part 1, but we're going to add a few details and you do all of this using Fusion 360. So if you haven't, like I said, if you haven't watched part 1 of this video, I would recommend that you go back and watch part 1 and then come back to part 2 and see how we add these details. So let's go to Fusion 360. So this is what we've got so far. And just as a quick reminder, we have our base, which over here on the left-hand side, we can see the different bodies that we have created. So if I highlight this one, we have the base that we created in the last video. We have our left table that we have right here that we created in the last video, and our riser table, which is over here that we created in the last video. Now, one of the things that we did was we created this left table and this riser table in such a way to where we could make a replacement for each one of them so that we can have some interchangeable parts and make this computer terminal just a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more interesting. So that's what we did in the last one. Now, one of the things that I forgot to do at the very end of the last video was save my work. And that's part of the reason that I'm doing this is I created this computer terminal like you saw in that first picture just a second ago. Let's pull that back up. That is not it. Like we have right here, I created all of this, and long story short, I lost all of my work. So I thought, when I make it a second time, let's make a video to help other people make this as well if they choose to. So let's go back to Fusion 360, and really quick, I just want to show how you can save your work. Now, if you notice up here at the top, move this out of the way a little bit, it says Computer V2 version 2. That means that I started with version 1, I saved it once, and now this is version 2. So if I come over here and click on save, well, I haven't done any work since I saved it last, but I'll remember to save this work and call it version 3 when we get finished with the details that we want to add. So what details do we want to add in this particular video? Well, let's go back to our picture. I want to add these little vents. They kind of look like vents to me. I'm going to add those little details on this table right here. Probably going to do the same thing over here, add a few vents. And then what I also want to do is put a lip on this cylinder table so that we can make something that can fit into that spot. I've got some different ideas that could go into that spot right there, but I want to put a little lip around it. So let's do just that. So let's start off with putting the vents over on this table right here. So if just again to give a few details on how to use Fusion 360. First of all, I am very much a beginner. So as I'm learning some things, if you know more about Fusion 360, put some put some information, educate us in the comments. Let us know. Not only are you letting people know that are watching this video, but you're also letting me know, and I can share those with other people as I create some different things in other videos. But in this one, I'm going to be doing just the basics. And I mean, I've been using Fusion 360 for maybe a month, probably not even that long. And I've learned quite a bit in that short period of time. So hopefully this video will help you with that as well. All right, let's get to the vents. So in order to create these little vent spots on this, I need to create a sketch. So I click on create a sketch. And I want to work on this plane. If you notice, I can choose a number of different planes to make this sketch. And a sketch is just a drawing. Once you make that drawing, then you can do stuff with the drawing. So I am going to choose this plane right here, and I'm going to zoom in to this spot. And if I click on my mouse using the center button, the scroll button for me, you can pan left and right, up and down. So now I am on this plane right here. Now I want to make a rectangle. So I'm going to click on, for my sketch up here where it says rectangle right there. And I think, if you notice, my cursor is kind of snapping to these squares, and I'm not sure that that's what I want to do, but I think what I'm going to do here is, let's make this rectangle. I think I want to go to that direction, which will be, each one of those little squares is 5 millimeters. And I want to go like this. Now, one thing that I see here that I don't like is, I feel like the top of this rectangle, because it's snapping to those lines, and by the way, you can turn the snapping off over here on the right-hand side, but because it's snapping to those lines, I don't like that too much. So I think I like the size of 10. So I'm going to type in 10 down there at the bottom. I'm going to hit the tab button, and then it takes me over to this length right here, and you can see it changing as I change this. Now I want this to be about the same distance. I kind of want it centered on this. Now I'm sure that there are tools that'll do that, but I'm just being honest. I do not know all the tools on Fusion 360 yet, but I do like what I have right here with this picture. I feel pretty good about that. Okay, I like all of that. All right, so I'm going to click on Finish Sketch. So now I have to, when I did this originally, what I want to do is, I want to take this sketch that I just made and I want to extrude it, but I want to extrude it into the piece. So if I click on this and then I click on this extrude button, I've got this arrow and I can pull it out or I can push it in. So I can extrude it out or I can make it a cut into the piece. Now I don't want it to go that far into the piece. And then what I really want to do is, I want this cut that I'm going to make, I want it to replicate it across the front of this particular table right here. So I'm going to click cancel so that I can kind of explain what I'm going to do first. In order to do this, and this is the way I do it, if somebody knows a better way to do this, please share in the comments. But what I want to do is, I'm going to extrude this out, and then I can replicate it across the front so that the shape is the same all the way across. And then I will extrude into the shape to make it a cut. Now, if there's a better way to do this, then, like I said, please share it. But what I really want is to replicate this across the front of this table. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to extrude this piece, and I don't want it to go very far. I'm just going to go 5 millimeters. That looks good to me. It's okay that it says join. Okay, it's going to join as a part of this table, but that's totally fine. I'm going to hit OK. And now you can see that it has extruded out from the table. Now, I really don't want that. That's not what I want. So but I'm doing that initially so that I can use this tool right here, which says rectangular pattern. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to, oh, you know what? I think I needed to make this a separate part. So we're learning as we go, right? Sometimes you make mistakes. So let's hit cancel. And let's go down here to my timeline. And this extrusion that I made, number 8, I'm going to get rid of it. But before I do that, let me see if I can do this. I want this rectangular pattern, and I want to replicate extrusion number 8. No, it doesn't highlight for me. So I was wondering, if I selected this, if it would highlight just that extrusion. So let's hit cancel. and let's delete this. So I'm going to right click, delete it. I still have my sketch. My sketch is still here. I can view it right there. If it disappears on you, you can always look at it over here. And let's call this vent. Let's rename it. Right click on it, and we'll call this vent left table. And there we go. All right, so let's try this again. I'm going to extrude this piece, and I'm going to bring it out just 5 millimeters, but I don't want to join it. I want it to be a new body. I'm going to hit OK. So right here is the new body, and I'm just going to leave it as body number 4 for right now. Now it's time to replicate it. So I'm going to click right here on this rectangular pattern. Now, the first thing I want to do is it says object type. I want to select, you can select bodies, faces, features, components. I'm going to select this body number 4. I can click on it directly in the sketch, or I can click on it over here. So I've selected it. Now, the second thing I need to do is I need to select my axis. So I'm going to select, I want it to go across the face of this part of the table. So the axis that I want it to slide along is this axis right here. So I'm going to click right there, and you can see that I now have 2 arrows. So I can drag this arrow across, and it will recreate those vents for me. Now, right now, I only have 3. In my original picture, I think I had maybe 6. So if I come over here, I can change this. I can actually do it right here where it says quantity, or I could do it over here where it says quantity. But let's come right here. Let's change it to 6. And so I need to, once I make 6 of them, I need to drag those across. And I think that I would put them right about there. I'm going to orbit around and kind of look at where everything is at. Boy, that looks pretty good to me. That looks like a nice recreation of what I had before. So I am satisfied with that. I like all of these, where all of these are, and I'm going to hit OK. And there we go. Now, if you notice, I've got body 4, body 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So each one of these is its own thing. Now, the one thing that's still showing is this blue line sketch down here. So I'm going to hide the vent sketch. There we go. Just not look at it anymore. But I don't want these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things to be an extrusion. I want all of them to be an indentation. I want them to be cut into this table. So what I'm going to do is I am going to hit extrude, and I'm going to select body 4, this one here. I'm also, hold on a second. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to select this front face of each one of these. Now I'm going to hit the shift button because I want to do all of those at the same time. If I hold down the shift button and I click on the front face of each one of these extrusions, I now have them all selected, and I actually want them to go into the original table. So I'm going to go this direction. Now I brought them out 5, so I need to go at least -5. But then I would like for them to go back in maybe 2 more millimeters. I don't want to go too deep, because then when I 3D print it, I have to, I might have to use some supports. I try to create things that need as few supports as possible. So if I go -5, I'm just going to go back to the original front face of this table. So how about we go -8? Let's see what that looks like. I actually think that looks pretty good. That's going to cut in, and I don't think I really will need, I don't think that I would need any supports in that spot. Just to be safe, I'm going to make it -7. I know I won't need supports there. Now, this is a cut. If you notice over on the right-hand side, this says cut, and that's what I want it to be. I hit OK. And now those little, I'm just calling them vents. Those little vents are now inside of the table. They are cut into that table. Let's take a look at the front view of this. And you can see right there that they're cut into the table. All right, so that's what we've got at this point in time. I like that. I like the way that that looks. And there we go. Okay, so what do I want to do next? Well, I was going to put some cuts on the front of this table, which I can still do. Um, I guess, but before I do that, let's come over here and let's change this to, let's change the name of this. Body 4 is now called Vent 1. Change this one to Vent 2. I just want to know what these are. Vent 3. I'm not sure what happened to that one. Vent 3. Okay. That's going to bother me if it goes out of order. So I'm going to have to go back and fix that. Vent 4. Vent 5. And finally, vent 6. Oops, not 67, but 6. Let's change this real quick. Let's just change that to vent. Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, there we go. That's good enough for me. Okay, so let's come over to this table. And I'll tell you what, on this one, I think I want the vents to go, and on this first one, we made the vents vertical, more vertical. Let's make these vents on this one horizontal. Now, one thing that I would like to do is I would like to get this cylindrical table out of the way. So I called this the riser table. So I would like to hide this. And I'm not sure if I right click. No, I don't want to delete it. There we go. It says show and hide. Let's click on that. Oh, that shows this but hides the other. Let's undo that. So I think I can still work with this. All right, let's make those vents. I'm going to click on create a sketch. Click right here and zoom in a little bit. There we go. And really, this is driving me nuts because this is in the way. Somebody is watching this and saying to themselves, I know what to do, but I don't. So I'm going to hit undo. I want to try hide this a little bit more. There has to be a way to do that. Wait, what if I do that? Highlight that, right click on it, and then hit show hide. There we go. Oh, but then it does that. All right, well, I'm just going to have to work with it, and I'll do the best that I can. So here we go. Sketch this face. It centers, by the way. So now I'm going to select a triangle, and I think I want to, I'll start at the bottom here. And on this one, I want the sketches to be, I'm going to go to right there. And let's see real quick where that's at in relationship to this edge. I think I want this to come just a little bit further. So, oops, I'm actually making a new sketch. I don't want that. I'm going to hit undo to make that one go away. I'm going to hit undo again. And let's try this again. There we go. I think with this angle, I get a little bit better look. All right, so I do want it to be 5. And the other one, if I go to 60, I think that's a little bit too short. If I go to 65, that's a little bit too close. Let's go 62, 63. I think that looks pretty nice. All right, let's go with it. I'm going to click on Finish Sketch. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before. I'm going to extrude this, replicate it, and then extrude it into the piece, which is basically making a cut. So let's go extrude, highlight this piece. I will make it come out 5, which is fine. I do want it to be a new body. I will hit OK. And then I am going to replicate this piece right here. And the axis that I want to go, remember, we selected the object and then we select the axis that we want to move. I want to go in this vertical direction. I'm going to go this way. I know I want more than 3 of these, so let's go with 6 again. Let's see if 6 is enough. It actually looks a little bit, that's not too bad. 6 isn't too bad. Let's see what 7 looks like. There we go. 7 may be a bit too many. Instead of 66 or instead of 60 millimeters high, let's go 57. Ah, that looks better. I do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. I like the distance between the top and the distance between the bottom. Let's even make it 58 and see what it looks like. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, I feel good about that. Let's hit OK. And now I have these new bodies over here that now say body 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. I want to extrude those again, but this time we're going to go in the opposite direction. And again, someone is probably yelling at their computer saying, there's an easier way to do this, but this is what I know to do. Now I brought it out 5, so I want to go in 5. The last time we went -7, and I think that was good. Let's go -7. It is a cut into the piece. I like that, and I'm going to hit OK. And there are my vents for this particular table. Okay, there we go. All right, so if we remember, I'm going to hit the home button. If we remember our goal for this particular video, let's go back to our picture. Our goal for this video was to put these details on the front of this table, put these details over here on the front of this table, and then put this little lip on this cylindrical table. So we're going to do that right now. Let's put that lip there. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to, let's zoom in a little bit. In order to do that, I am going to draw a sketch of a circle on this plane, and then I am going to cut it into, use the extrude tool and cut it into the table. Now, one thing I want to measure before I actually do this is I want to remind myself of the diameter of this particular cylinder. I don't know what the diameter is. So let's see, if I click on this inspect tool, I can click right there. And here we go. It tells us that the diameter is 50. So the diameter of that circle is 50, the radius is 25. And it also gives us the, oh, that's interesting, it gives us the center position for X, Y, and Z as well. That's pretty interesting. All right, I'm going to close that. So this was 50 all the way across. That's a good thing to remember. All right, let's do a sketch. So I'm going to click Sketch. I want to do it on this plane. Now notice it centers itself. So I'm going to click on the middle button on my mouse and drag so that I can see my workspace where I want to work. And I want to make a circle. So I'm going to click on circle. And the nice thing is it will center itself on this circle that we've already created. If I go right there. So I'm going to click and start to drag out. And at this point in time, I'm like, okay, I don't want it to be 50, obviously, but I think I want the lip to be about 2 millimeters. So if I want 2 millimeters, a 2 millimeter lip, and the radius was 25, that means I want the radius to be 23. But if the radius is 23, then the diameter is 46. So there we go. So now I have when I click, I'm going to click, hit enter. So now I have a 2 millimeter lip. Well, I haven't created the lip yet, but the distance between those two circles is 2 millimeters all the way around. I'm going to click on finish sketch. And now I have that sketch right there of that circle. All right. So now let's use the extrude tool to cut into the cylinder in order to make my little lip. Click on extrude. Now this time I don't need to extrude out and then extrude in because I'm not replicating anything. So I want this particular picture right there. And notice that this part right here that is now highlighted is not highlighted in blue. Now I want to extrude into the piece. So I could extrude down like this. I can extrude it out like this. I'm going to go 2 millimeters into the piece, -1, -2. I like that. I hit enter and it finishes my extrusion. And now I have a nice 2 millimeter lip all the way around. You can kind of see it there, the shadow of it in that, cylinder piece. And there we go. That's the end of this video. That's all the work that we're going to do, at least in this particular video. But the idea behind that lip is that we're going to create some other items that can be placed on there, and those other items will have a base that can fit right inside there so that they don't fall off. They can fit right there and be replaced without falling off the table. So there we go. That's where we're at. Oh, before we stop the video, let's save. So this is version 3 for me. So I'm going to click on save. I'm going to call this version description. This is going to be version 3 at this point in time. I'll hit OK. And now there's a little check mark up here. It went away, but the check mark has now been saved. Make sure that you save your work. Like I said, I have done all of this work previously, and I forgot to save my work. And bottom line is I lost all of this work that I did. So that's the end of part 2 of this video. In part 3, I'm going to come back and do the computer terminal with all of the displays and the keyboard area as well. So that's what we'll do in part 3. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you have a great day.